what we are doing. I have to also laud the decisions which are coming from our courts, guided by the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court. I think we are not where we were in 2010. A lot of progress has been done. Whether it is enough, I think there is always a room for improvement. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. That's all, CJ.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Attorney General.
I have gone through your CV and I realize that you have a Master's of Laws in International Trade and Investment from the University of Nairobi.
Yes, Attorney General.
What do you understand by illicit financial flows? And what core structural and regulatory attributes that facilitate illicit financial flows in your assessment contributed to Kenya being grey-listed? Are you aware that Kenya was grey-listed?
No, I am not aware of that, Honorable Attorney General.
Generally, but you're aware of illicit financial flows?
Yes, I know illicit financial flows, which mainly is about money being, transmitted unlawfully.
What kind of money?
Money could be maybe from drugs. Money could be from, illegal transactions generally.
Can clean money be subject of illicit financial flows?
That one I may not be able to, because cleaning here, it might have been cleansed, in the process. Yeah.
Sometimes they say that if clean money is transmitted in an unclean way, then it becomes illicit.
I would agree with that statement.
Then what role should the appellate jurisprudence play in reinforcing compliance with international financial integrity standards?
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General. I think the Court of Appeal has a lot to play, and more so to ensure that the principles and the standards which are put in place are applied by the courts below it, so that it's a matter of whenever matters come before it, the court will be able to look at the legal reasoning and see whether it is aligning with the relevant standards. Thank you.
How would you balance our compliance with our international commitments vis-a-vis adherence to our constitution when it comes to financial matters?
Thank you. I know Kenya is not living in isolation. It's part of our international community, and therefore it has obligations at the international level, and therefore commitments which the country has out there must be reflected in the decisions of the court. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for anyone to invest in our country or to do business with our country, where we may elevate the constitution so much and disregard international law to an extent of, like you have said, being placed in certain colors, like gray colors. Yes.
And do you agree that some of that commitment might be reflected in our policies and regulations?
I agree, Attorney General. That should be the case. Even in our laws, it should be reflected.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Justice Makau, how long have you been in your court now? How many years?
Thank you, my lady. I've been there. This is my 14th year. I'll be 14 in July.
So am I right in saying that you've been a master of your own destiny? In terms of everything that you do, the decisions that you make?
I do not understand by being master of my own destiny. Maybe you can expound on that.
That the decisions that you make them yourself?
Yes, Honorable Commissioner, I do my judgments, my rulings.
Yes, without the input of anybody else, isn't it?
Yes, nobody helps me to do my judgments, although we have a team behind, those who help in availing files. We have researchers who do opinions.
All right.
Yeah, which we can also consider in my decision.
And
but
I'm
they are not
sure
binding. Yes.
for those 14 years, you've written very many judgments, and some of them sometimes have found their way to the Court of Appeal by way of an appeal.
Yes, my lady, even to the Supreme Court.
Even to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And sometimes this also applies to me because we still have the apex court, that is the Supreme Court, that sometimes would consider appeals that may emanate from the Court of Appeal. But what I was saying is that sometimes we are overturned by the courts that are superior to us, isn't it?
Yes, my lady.
And I'm sure you've also had decisions that are overturned by the Court of Appeal.
Yes, I have some decisions which were overturned.
Okay. When they are overturned, what is the feeling that you're left with when you get to know that your decision has been overturned?
Well, it always gives me a lot of courage because, one, it helps me to know where I've not applied my legal reasoning properly. And it gives me a chance to read more and also to apply the guidance which I'm given by the Superior Court.
But what I see on the ground is that many a time we tend to criticize and say, oh, the Court of Appeal got it wrong, or the Supreme Court got it wrong.
Well, I think that is perception outside there, because I believe many matters terminate in the Court of Appeal, and we have received very good, case back, which has shaped the court's jurisprudence as corrected by the Court of Appeal.
All right. So this court that you aspire to join is a collegial court.
Yes, my lady.
And when hearing a matter, many a time you will be 3 judges. And of course, there are dynamics of human life. Sometimes you are not able to get along with the other 2 members of the bench. And for instance, you go to court, you come out of court, you discuss a draft, but a judge in the course of the deliberations is using condescending language towards you. In such a situation, what would you do?
My lady, I think a collegiate court operates, on mutual respect. And I think language there is very crucial, how you treat your colleagues. And I believe the issue of, discussing during the conference of judges, in that situation, it's obvious there might be some differences in judicial reasoning or philosophy. And I don't think that one should elevate himself to be the leader or to be the one who will be using bad language, because it will not work. I believe collegiality requires mutual respect, persuasion using law and the material before the court, not extraneous matters.
All right, you've had a matter. You've retired to your chambers to deliberate on the matter, and one judge says it's either my way or the highway, and they are so much fixated on that. In such a situation, what do? You tried to persuade them to see your point of view, but they're hell-bent that they are right.
I think the Court of Appeal allows judges to write different, or rather individual judgments, and there's room for one to dissent. So it would be bad if really there was everybody went this way. But at least there will always be some 2 who maybe will give a majority decision.
All right. So the Court of Appeal, the rules allow you to write a dissent. But supposing before that judgment is delivered, one of the 3 judges has retired, and this other judge that is now paired up with you is one of those who has said it's either my way or the highway. What do you do?
Well, I think that one I love to do my best to persuade my colleague.
No. Persuasion here is not going to work.
There will be
Persuasion is not going to work.
I will still do it because I believe I'm able
Okay,
to.
you reach a dead end. You've tried all that you could and you
Yes.
reached a dead end. What is next?
I think in such a situation, my lady, the Court of Appeal, depending on the appeal before me, I think it reaches a point where the decision now, the lower court will have now to pass in such a situation where there is a clear deadlock.
I don't understand that, Judge.
I mean, if it was like a criminal case and there is a tie, in that case, the decision of the High Court will now remain.
So what about the appeal then that had been filed? You dismiss the appeal?
Now, unless we refer the matter back now to the president, maybe to consider empanelling another bench, with that tie, is either the appeal as just abates on its own and the decision in the lower court survives, or
I think that would be a better option,
yes,
to refer the matter to the president
yes.
to constitute another bench.
Thank you.
And then, finally from me, again, you've gone to court, there is an appeal you've had, you've retired to chambers, you've discussed, you've agreed on the law, and the issue of facts, you've also agreed on that. And so you have already determined an outcome, and you give one of the three the responsibility of generating the draft. Then, because judgments are usually given sometimes 2 months away or 3 months away, before that judgment is delivered, you get to know that your colleague has actually sold that judgment, sold in courts. In such a situation, what will you do?
Well, of course, I believe that is unethical to begin with.
It is unethical, no doubt.
In such a situation, I think if I have good grounds to believe that has happened, the only way to deal with that is to be ruthless by reporting it to the president of the court, and if possible, to the CJ or even to this JSC. I think that's the only way out, because we cannot allow that one to happen, because it impacts on all of us and the public perception of the court.
Is that being ruthless?
By ruthless, I meant that I'll be candid. I will not accommodate such conduct.
I think I prefer the word candid as opposed to ruthless, because ruthless means
Yes.
you've really gone against what you believe in, and it's something that you would not do ordinarily.
Thank you for the correction. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all, CJ.
So I was very interested in your CV, and I see that in 2015, which is a while back, you attended a course on the Maputo Protocol. That is the protocol on the rights of women in Africa. Do you remember?
I don't think that is in my CV. I'm sorry.
Oh,
The one I agree, in my CV I attended was in Rwanda on stereotypes, and Cape Town was about the Cape Town one was about environmental law and the climatic change.
oh, sorry. I seem to see it. Maybe there's a mistake on that. Okay, let me ask you a different question then. In the course of the work that you've been doing, you have been dealing with issues of sexual harassment.
Yes.
I have two questions. What is the standard of proof? Given your judgments, and I've read some of them, what proof do you require when making such a finding that there is sexual harassment that has taken place in a matter before you? What is the standard that you use?
Thank you, my lady. This, to begin with, I will be operating in a civil or rather civil case, and therefore it wouldn't go to the higher standard of proof beyond reasonable doubt, but I believe it should always be higher than mere standard of probability.
Okay. And you must be aware that under the Employment Act that institutions with more than 20 employees must have a sexual harassment policy.
Yes, my lady.
Is this a section of the law that you remind litigants about in your judgments? Because I'm sure several of them have come and they do not have this.
Yes, the section is Section 6 of the Employment Act, which provides for that requirement, which is both legal and I think also part of an employment contract.
So where you have found that an employer does not have that policy, what have you directed or suggested? And if you can point out perhaps which case you've done that in.
I have not done one for the time being, but I would definitely direct an employer to comply with the law. That's what I would do, and possibly give time limit within which to comply, and possibly mention the matter to see whether a positive action has been done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, my lady.
Thank you, CG. Good afternoon once again,
Good
Judge.
afternoon, Commissioner.
Okay. I see you're relaxed, so I'll not ask you to take water. We've gone through your sample writing, the 5 of them. You have strong ability to apply legal principles to complex factual situations with clear identification of issues and well-structured reasoning. Your analysis is careful, balanced, and well supported by statutory provisions and precedent. Looking at your 5 writings, you predominantly appear to be a purposive and contextual interpreter of the law. So good job in your sample writings.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Now, a question linked to the entire interview is that increasingly we are seeing people coming to court not just to have their disputes resolved, but to try and solve social, political, and economic issues, showing that there is a failure by other arms of government. How can courts ensure that they don't find themselves undertaking the functions of the other government agencies, at the same time ensuring that they comply with the Constitution?
Thank you, Commissioner. I think the Constitution we have clearly demarcates roles of each arm of government under the banner of separation of powers. And therefore, a court of law should be able to know its area, its sphere in that field of play through exercise of judicial restraint. So that as much as our Constitution is transformative, you should never, as a court, venture in what we call judicial overreach by purporting to deal with issues of policy or legislation, which are reserved for the executive and the legislature. Thank you.
Okay, in one of your sample writings, that's the National Police Service transfer issue.
Yes.
You, among the orders, directed the petitioner, that's the female police officer, not to be moved from Kirinyaga Kerugoya Police Station Traffic Department, except as contemplated by the law and without violating the provisions of Article 43 and 45 and 53. 45 is with regards to family, 43 is with regards to right of a child. With respect to protection of family and education of the minor. How would you balance this? Because I consider them individual rights, in as much as they belong to the child, and you're speaking to, you are providing for the children and maybe the spouse, that's the family. How would you balance these two rights
with the greater good of public service, because public servants are expected to work anywhere within the jurisdiction of the country. And the other bit is the operational functions of National Police Service.
Thank you. I think the Constitution, our Constitution is people-centric. You know, it tends more to lean more towards, you know, the wider enjoyment of the individual rights. And whereas the police have an obligation to secure the country, or rather to promote internal order, that I did not dispute. What I tried to balance was the interest of a police officer, so that when you look at a police officer, and a lady police officer for that matter, you must appreciate is a person, okay? It's not an object which today you remove from Nakuru, bring to Kirinyaga, before 2 weeks are over, you are sending her for short time in Kapsabet, and then after a few days, even before the ink dries, you are telling her to go to Nyeri headquarters. I think a reasonable employer in such context should also pause and wonder whether this officer, as a human being, has other obligations, so that you are able to balance the interest of the employer or the larger interest of the country and other interests, because this is a lady of a certain age bracket, and obviously as children, and possibly smaller even children in attending primary schools. So that is the balance which I try to play in that. But I never really said the police force or police service had no important role. So for me, that's the play I will always do. And especially where there is a child, the best interest of the child must be considered.
I was looking at the greater public interest, not individual. You choose to be employed by a public service. You are expected to work anywhere within the Republic of Kenya. But if as a judge you make a determination that because you have a right to family, your children have a right, then your institution should not transfer you anywhere within the public.
I know they are proposed.
So there is that one bit. And then the second bit, recently there was a senior police officer who was seen on media stating that they no longer would need female police officers in the National Police Service because they can't do their work well. Would such a decision restate that particular opinion of that police officer?
I think as a country that statement would be very sad, because we have equality before the law. We are citizens who are supposed to enjoy equal rights, except where the law has limited in a proper way. So I believe as much as possible, while we consider the wider benefit of the society, it's always good that employers should know there's some dignity which is supposed to be accorded to employees, and not to deal with employees like objects. And especially for lady police officer who is expected at particular age bracket to have some roles which affect the family and also the children. I think that was my reasoning, and I believe I have reason to believe it was a good decision.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Judge, once again.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Let's have a different kind of discussion. There are some terms we use in the judiciary, and I just want clarity from you what they mean.
Yes.
The term AJS and ADR. What is the difference? What is the difference between AJS and ADR?
AJS refers to alternative justice system.
Mm-hmm.
The ADR is alternative dispute resolution mechanisms.
Mm-hmm. What is the difference between the two?
Well, this looking at it, you would easily find that ADR will be within that bigger circle of AJS. And it's all about now the classification of what happens in that alternative justice.
This AJS is alternative to what?
AJS is alternative to formal court systems.
Okay. Now, back to ADR. What are the forms of ADR that you know of?
I know of arbitration, I know of mediation, and in the court where I work, we also do conciliation. Yes, those are mainly the major methods we use.
Okay, and what would be the difference between mediation and negotiation?
Well, I think negotiation mostly is between the parties themselves, but in a mediation setup, there is somebody helping the parties to resolve the dispute. Yes.
Okay. Now, I have your performance report from DISPOP. I don't know if you are furnished with a copy.
Yes, Commissioner, I got a copy.
So this report is accurate.
The report is not accurate.
Okay, what is inaccurate about the report?
Thank you. The report, one, it did not consider that I've come from Nyeri. I reported in Nairobi on 1st of October. So that what I did in Nyeri either was excluded or it ought to have been treated differently. So that I don't appear like I've just been in Nairobi station. In Nairobi, having just reported in October, I worked hard to ensure at least I've delivered 27 decisions and resolved quite a number of matters. And therefore, I believe the report I saw, and I actually called the director to see whether there's something they can do about it, but I believe they are still considering it. But the presentation of the report definitely should have considered that what I did in Nyeri, like if Nairobi have done 27 matters within the time I've come, and I had to really hear matters and still deliver my judgments, and from 1st July to 30th of September, I did more than 80 decisions in Nyeri out of possible workload of around 180. I think if somebody was
judgments. You'll be way ahead.
Yes.
But the report I have talks of 36 in Nyeri.
No, I think the report I got indicates that I've done like 107 matters, which was factored against 1,400
Yes.
in Nairobi.
That is correct.
And then I'm counted as one of the 12 judges in Nairobi. And I'm saying,
I got that, yes.
yes, what I'm trying to explain is that in Nairobi you can see what I have done. There is a row there indicating some 11, I think 10 and 7. I don't have
Yes,
the report here.
yes,
with me.
I have
so
that.
that comes to around 28 in Nairobi. So if you were to subtract it from 107, then it means I did quite a lot in Nyeri for 3 months before I came, because I never carried any single file from Nyeri.
Indeed, you did. You did, Judge.
I carried.
In the no,
Okay.
you did well in Nyeri. I'm looking at the between July and
Yes.
October when you said you left Nyeri.
Yes.
You have 36 judgments. I'm not looking at the rulings.
Okay.
I'm just working with the judgments. You have 36 judgments.
Yes.
And I appreciate your explanation in respect to comparing you to 12 judges when midstream you left Nyeri, so you were fewer in Nyeri.
Yes,
That should
and-
have been factored in.
And Commissioner, when I landed in Nairobi, I had to have time to hear matters so that they can mature to judgments and rulings.
That is appreciated.
Yes.
Okay,
So I
thank
would
you,
have
Judge.
hit the mark.
I believe you would have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Judge, and I wish you well.
Asante.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and welcome again, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Now, in your opening remarks, you said that you embrace the values of integrity and the principles under Chapter 6 of the Constitution.
Yes, Commissioner.
Would you share with us an instance in your over 20 years of experience where you had or you faced an ethical dilemma, and how did you resolve it?
Thank you. I think I've faced so many, both in private and in the public service. And if you allow me, I can share one in the public service. And I had just landed in Nyeri from Kericho. And then the judges were invited to lunch, end of year party in a particular place. And then we went there, judges and JOs. We enjoyed ourselves and we left. So we went for the vacation of the December, and while I was away, somebody called me. I don't know, he got the number, and I told him that I was away. I introduced himself. If you allow, I should not name names. And then he said he was told that the judges had come for lunch in that place, and he was happy about it. It ended there. Then he kept on calling, quite a number of times. Then I told him, he wondered when I'm coming back, and I said we are out for a recess. So finally, he told me that when you come, I want us to discuss a particular matter which is before you. And then I was surprised, what kind of matter? So I told him that I don't discuss matters with either litigants or friends of litigants, and therefore I wouldn't want to meet him over that. And I think I blocked the number, and he never called me again. But I also took steps to talk to my presiding judge, High Court Judge, Judge Muchemi. That one I have no problem to mention. And I talked to her that she should talk to those people where we are going for these functions, because we are not going there, to create atmosphere where they can engage us concerning matters before us. So it was an embarrassment, and I believe Judge Muchemi, forthright as she is, she must have handled that matter as I requested.
Okay. What is your thinking of, the public oftenly criticize the judiciary, that the judiciary is corrupt, and JSC protects corrupt judges?
Thank you, Commissioner. I think we are in the public service, and we are open to scrutiny. It is a constitutional requirement, and judges cannot run away from it. What I can say is that I don't think that JSC really protects corrupt judges or any officer of the judiciary. We have seen every time a complaint or any suspicion is raised, people receiving letters to respond. So I don't think JSC, this Honorable JSC, has really protected corrupt judges. Yeah, but I would say let the public criticize us, and not just criticize us, go ahead and provide evidence to the necessary agencies and even to this JSC. And I'm sure we'll see something done which will create some confidence and trust in the institution of JSC and the judiciary.
Okay, finally, what role should a judge play in management and oversight of judicial resources?
Thank you. I think a judge should be actively involved in ensuring that the resources of judiciary and public, for that matter, are well managed. And this should include the facilities which are provided to the judge in his office, in the courtroom, and also facilities or resources which are budgeted and availed for disposal, or rather for dispensation of the work which we do. So it is always necessary for a judge to be on the lookout, so that people, for example, judicial time is not wasted by people just being absent or reporting late to work or leaving early from the office, wastage of resources. We have discussed all this even in our staff court meetings, where we have talked. We are actually in the process of creating a toilets committee, which we want to see toilets managed clearly, clean, water is not left running, power is not left on unnecessarily, especially over the weekends and such like things. So these are some of the issues we want to use. They may look like, they are petty, or people don't think they're important. But if you leave water running in a tap, or you leave lights on in your office, I don't think it's good. We have also discussed the issue of staff getting to the internet when it is time for court work, and the internet is experiencing problems because people are busy in other things. So those are some of the issues we have discussed, and they should be implemented under the supervision of the judge.
Okay. Thank you, Judge, and I wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Judge, I have a few questions for you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
If you're successful to become a judge of the Court of Appeal, how would you ensure your written and verbal communication, especially in moments of disagreement, upholds judicial courtesy, integrity, and dignity of your colleagues?
I think I will be respectful to my colleagues. I would also appreciate that I'm going to that court as a junior judge, and therefore they are already senior judges who morally have the right even to correct me. I would want to respect opinions which are, of course, in line with the law and, the jurisprudence that is developed in that court and also the Supreme Court. So I'll be very much willing to discuss matters with my colleagues.
Okay. You find yourself in this situation where you have two members of your team. One of them keeps absenting themselves, giving all manner of reasons and excuses, and upon investigation you realize that they have a problem with alcoholism, so they don't come to work because they've overindulged. And then another one is caught soliciting for a bribe from a member of the public. How would you handle these two individuals?
Thank you. I think the second one, that is an outright offense, and therefore it's a disciplinary issue. I will deal with that as such. I will definitely have to report the matter to my president in the court so that he can initiate disciplinary process against the officer. As regards problem of alcoholism, this one has two phases. It could be just outright indiscipline, where somebody is indulging and really there is nothing which is beyond repair. But there is another one aspect where somebody may already have reached a mental situation which now should be treated or dealt with as some form of incapacity. And I think we have had such matters before where we have brought it for discussion during the LMT meetings. We have discussed some of them we have recommended for disciplinary action, but in most cases we have recommended for kind of rehabilitation. So that those who are just having, just starting taking alcohol and it is spilling from the weekend and their work is affected, those ones we have just taken to talk to them, you know, as a colleague at work. But when it comes now to this, I think the last time we discussed it in an LMT and we made proposals. Thank you.
Okay. What are the responsibilities of an employer in protecting employees from sexual harassment?
Well, the employer there has a legal obligation and also a contractual obligation, because these are vices which affects the dignity of the person who is the victim. And therefore, in such a situation, and assuming that the employer has a policy, I would expect the employer to stick to that policy and enforce it. I would want to see such matters handled with a lot of confidence and speed, so that because you don't want to have your daughter or your son, for that matter, suffering quietly until you know, he feels that workplace is a bad place. I think the nation needs the young talents, whether they are there for internship, whether they are there for work, they should be given their space to serve with dignity and peace. Yes.
Okay. Finally, for me, I have a report here, and the questions I'm going to ask you are in regards to the background checks that we run.
Yes.
Maybe you could tell this commission, do you run a church?
Oh, no. I don't run a church. I am a member of a church, and the church I'm a member is just one. Yes, by registration and card.
Any responsibilities in church?
Oh yeah, in the church I have sat in various levels, as a committee member in men's fellowship, in a development committee, and I'm also what we call in that church a member of advisory committee, which advises the pastor, the local pastor of the church, on how to handle the court, not court, but the church matters. Thank you.
Okay. Finally, your obligations with KRA, what is your status with the Kenya Revenue Authority?
Thank you.
In matters taxes.
I am compliant as far as I'm concerned. I have produced a certificate of compliance, and I've also produced a letter which was given to me after an in-depth, what they call in-depth audit for a couple of 5 years. Yes, and they completed in, I think, May or so last year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I wish you well, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon,
Judge.
Commissioner.
Right. In your view, how should national institutions balance sovereignty with international obligations?
I would request you come again, please.
In your view, how should national institutions balance sovereignty with international obligations?
Thank you. I believe The national institution should always appreciate that our country has obligations in the international space. And therefore, it's all about the institutions knowing where compliance with international obligation is required, possibly like matters of extradition or diplomatic issues, compliance with the arbitral awards, things like that. I think the institution should know where the obligation of the state out there lies, and then uphold them. Otherwise, we will be in the wrong side of the international community.
Okay, and what role should developing countries play in shaping global governance norms rather than merely adapting them?
Thank you. I think the developing countries have actually been playing a role, because like last year in June, I was among delegates who went to ILO conference, which took 14 days. And the discussion there was about platform economy, and I'm expecting a convention to be released by maybe June on that area. And I've seen the same also. While we were there was another convention on biological hazards at workplace. And I saw many of us who were there, they were shared into various rooms. And we were not just there as tourists, we were there to represent the interests of the country. And there were discussions, would at some time retreat into regional rooms like Africa, we would have others go, South America, of course the usual big nations, and then we would come back into the plenary. So I would say that they are playing a big role in negotiating in this international place. So we are not just there to receive. We are also there to deal with what others are dealing with, especially in areas of climate, workplace. I think it's happening. Thank you.
Asante.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I think I'll come over this. I'll come back to this issue again because of a complaint that was launched here. Judge, if you could explain to us what you understand by judicial impunity, tyranny, and short-changing a victim when a judgment ignores the evidence that was tendered and not recorded.
Thank you. I think you have almost said it, that really impunity will be where the judge now is ignoring what has been presented to the court for determination and engaging in other things outside the brief which is before him.
Very well. So what do you think we should do as a judiciary so that we can build on a public trust because of the work that we do?
Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice. I know outcome number 5 of STARG is about, judiciary working to enhance public confidence and trust in the institution. And I think some of the ways to do that is to ensure that the court is able to deal with the matters, dispense justice with the speed that is required, that is able to, explain the decisions which it has to make by supporting reasons. And I think that's something I've done over the years. The way we address ourselves to the court, the way we even go ahead to ensure that parties understand the procedures of the court. So I think all those are things which I've done over the years, both as a counsel and even as a judge. I think I've helped those upheld that principle.
Very well. Now, looking at the documents you have filed about your own financial propriety,
Yes.
I was following the questions about whether you have observed your obligations with the KRA.
Yes.
When I look at your returns, I see a lot of indication that monies in the bank are gifts. Perhaps that's why some people thought you ran a church. Were you correct?
No, Honorable Chief Justice, I don't run a church, and the only other thing which I do is that I have some premises which generate income, and I don't think that I've received gifts through my bank account. Whatever money could be there is money maybe from my wife, which emanates from sale of property. And they are all indicated in my wealth declaration forms. Yeah, they are clearly there to indicate what we sold and when.
So as a judge, what is your understanding of financial propriety?
I think financial propriety would include that a judge should not involve himself in receiving like funds from other, from people in as bribes. Should not solicit bribes. A judge should be able to pay taxes when they are due. A judge should be able to avoid instances where his interests will override or be seen to conflict with the interests of the office he's holding. Basically to ensure that whatever the judge is doing does not bring disrepute to the office he holds.
Very well. So I think that brings us to the end of this engagement with you, Judge. Thank you very much, and thank you, Commissioners. Before we release you, we always give the floor to the candidate to also engage us.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice. I have to thank you once again for giving me a chance to appear before this commission. I appreciate that it's a difficult work you have to deal with. And I have to say that the commission has been fair to me in this interview. I believe if this is what will happen to all the candidates, I think I would say that the public out there will continue to have a lot of confidence in this commission. And I thank you, Honorable Chief Justice, and the commissioners once again for this chance. And I hope that I've convinced you to give me the job. Thank you.
We will get in touch with you when we complete the exercise. But I take this opportunity to wish you all the best and to hope that you will continue doing the good work of serving Kenyans, because that's what we are paid for, with or without promotion.
Thank you.
Yes. All the best. Have a nice afternoon. You are released.
Thank you, Commissioner.